Hello. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm going to show a few snippets from other content creators, and I'm going to read a good bit of the indictment. Diddy has been arrested, and he's being held without bond in New York. Who's next to go down? And who did Diddy call 54 times recently to try to get them to change the narrative? The moment we've all been waiting for. Let's get into it.
Do we believe that Diddy's what appears to be his unquenchable thirst for sex and various iterations of sexual acts between men, women, and flower pots, is this something that was innate in him that he would have expressed independent of being a star with all this money? Is this something that was born out of him being rich, famous, and powerful? When do you even have time to have all of this parties? Bring in his henchmen, associates, business partners, friends, security guards, so on and so forth. How much having currently and anticipate having that you have over 100 bottles of lube and baby oil on hand, tucked away in a box in an attic, so on and so forth. When I tell y'all, they said these people found some of everything. 1 count of racketeering and 1 count of transportation to engage in prostitution. As of right now, those are the 3 things that he's been arrested on. And here is what we know from watching Law and Order, and here is what we know from dealing with the feds. The feds do not come out and get you unless they already have a case. Get him on whatever you can. Racketeering, he could potentially get life in prison. Sex trafficking, maximum is life in prison, minimum is 15 years. Transportation for prostitution, maximum is 10 years in prison. That being said, guys, if at a minimum, if Puffy gets charged on the sex trafficking charge alone, he's doing a minimum of 15 years.
Sean Puffy Combs was arrested in New York. He was picked up at his hotel, I think in the lobby, something like that. He did have drugs on him, so he's still using. Remember, he went on a Breakfast Club a couple years ago or not too long ago and said that he's not doing, the stuff he used to do. He's not participating in all the drugs and alcohol. Well, we already know that he's a liar. And I really hate that the Breakfast Club let him come on their platform, or they had no choice, but allowed him to come on their platform so many times and tell lie after lie about him being a changed man and kind of, glossing over his past indiscretions and his past, violent, terroristic behavior.
The powerful people that are supposed to be on the list that I don't think they're going to mess with. Clive Davis, I don't think nothing gonna happen to him. There was a lot of music executives involved in this, a lot of them, and a lot of celebrities that were involved in this. But I don't think they're going to be in trouble. I think it's the people that helped, like they said today in the press conference. I think it was Stevie J, you better go and go to Bali right now. We know you don't have the money.
Bye,
go borrow the money
Bye.
from Russell. You need to go.
Bye, Stevie.
They're gonna come knocking on your door.
Yeah.
The drug dealer that they arrested earlier, he's toast.
Yep.
He's toast. Just all the people around, all the people that watched him put his hands on Cassie and said nothing.
Now, is Kevin Lyles gonna be the next person named? Because he announced today, I believe, that he stepped down from one of his companies, and I've been hearing his name tossed around, so I'm just going to put it right here that Kevin Lyles had something to do with something. Let's look at this TMZ article where they mention him contacting former band member Kalenna Harper. According to TMZ, Diddy called Kalenna Harper 54 times the day before she made a statement about a recent lawsuit they were named in. So he's still coercing people. Kalenna from Diddy Dirty Money, I mean, she was there with Don, and Don claims all of this illegal activity was going on and this violence from this man. And Kalenna says she wasn't a part of that. It was all professional. So now we see that he called her 54 times to get her to say that. All right, I found the indictment thanks to Megan Cuniff, who's a journalist, and she has it on her Twitter page. All right. So it's the United States of America versus Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P. Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love. Why does it not say aka Puffy? Okay, but anyway. Count 1. Racketeering. The grand jury charges for decades Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P. Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love. The defendant abused, threatened, and coerced women and others around him to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. To do so, Combs relied on the employees, resources, and influence of the multifaceted business empire that he led and controlled, creating a criminal enterprise whose members and associates engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other crimes, trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. 2. Sean Combs, aka, and this is the overview for count 1, racketeering conspiracy. Sean Combs, aka, and I'm not going to do all these AKAs, the defendant operated his business headquartered at various times in Manhattan and Los Angeles under a variety of United States-based corporate entities, including Bad Boy Entertainment, Combs Enterprises, and Combs Global, collectively the Combs Business. Corporate entities in the Combs Business included, among other things, record labels, a recording studio, an apparel line, an alcoholic spirits business, a marketing agency, and a television network and media company. 3. At all times relevant to this indictment, Sean Combs, the defendant, engaged in a persistent and pervasive pattern of abuse towards women and other individuals. This abuse was at times verbal, emotional, physical, and sexual. As part of his pattern of abuse, I don't even know if I can say that word, Combs manipulated women to participate in highly orchestrated performances of sexual activity and male commercial sex workers. At times, Combs and others acting at his direction made arrangements for women and commercial sex workers to fly to Combs' location. Combs ensured participation from the women by, among other things, obtaining and distributing narcs to them, controlling their careers, leveraging his financial support, and threatening to cut off the same and use intimidation and violence. So he dangled money and a career over their heads. Number 4, physical abuse by Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, the defendant, was recurrent and widely known. On numerous occasions from at least in or about 2009 and continuing for years, Combs assaulted women by, among other things, striking, punching, dragging, throwing objects at, and kicking them. These assaults were at times witnessed by others and included one instance at a Los Angeles hotel in or about March 2016, which was captured on video and later publicly reported, where Combs kicked, dragged, and threw a vase at a woman. They're talking about Cassie here, as she was attempting to leave. So thank you, Cassie. When a member of the hotel security staff intervened, Combs attempted to bribe the staff member to ensure silence. Combs' violence was also not limited to these women. It extended to his employees, witnesses to his abuse, and others. So I heard from Girl Is That Legal Channel that Cassie sued that hotel chain and won at least $1 million, I believe, because, they covered it up. And she did this prior to, I believe, submitting this stuff to the courts about Puffy. I think she did it before did she sue Puffy? I guess she did sue him, but, she submitted the stuff to the courts as well. She got her money, basically. She got double paid for her pain from the hotel chain and from Diddy. And she opened up the door and allowed for other people to come out and finish burying him. So thank you so much, Cassie, and your husband, because I know he probably encouraged her to go forward with this. Number 5, Sean Combs, the defendant, used the Combs business, including certain employees, to carry out, facilitate, and cover up his abuse and commercial acts. These employees, including security staff, household staff, personal assistants, and high-ranking supervisors, and other close associates, acted as Combs intermediaries, and their conduct was facilitated and assisted by Combs' control of the Combs business. So I'm wondering how many other people are going to be arrested. Sherelle's World did a video, which I'm going to have to go back and watch. She put in her title that who else is going to be arrested. So I'm wondering, because I did see on Instagram that all of his kids had to surrender their passports. So they can't go anywhere. And of course he did too. So he sure can't go nowhere. Number 6, the Combs Enterprise. From at least in or about 2008 through on or about the date of the filing of this indictment, Sean Combs and others known and unknown were members and associates of a criminal organization, the Combs Enterprise, or the Enterprise. Members and associates of the Combs Enterprise engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other activities, trafficking, forced labor, interstate transportation for purposes of coercion and enticement to engage in narcs offenses, taking someone against their will, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. Poor Kid Cudi's car. Tried to blow that man up. 7. The Combs Enterprise, including its leadership, its members, and associates, constituted an enterprise as defined by Title 18. A group of individuals associated, in fact, although not a legal entity. The Combs Enterprise consisted of the defendant, entities within the Combs business, including but not limited to Bad Boy Entertainment, Combs Enterprises, and Combs Global. So I wonder if his family members work for any of these businesses. Will they be arrested as well? Individuals employed by the associate in the Combs business and others known and unknown. Number 8, the Combs Enterprise constituted an ongoing organization whose members function as a continuing unit for a common purpose of achieving the objectives of the Combs Enterprise. Let me keep going. Number 9, at all times relevant to this indictment, Sean Combs was the leader of the enterprise. And I'm not going to read word for word, so I'm not leaving anything important out, though. Number 10, Sean Combs and others known and unknown participated in unlawful and other activities related to the conduct of the Combs Enterprise's affairs. These individuals included certain Combs business employees, such as members of Combs security staff, household staff, personal assistants, and high-ranking supervisors, as well as other close associates of Combs. So they say high-ranking supervisors, as well as other close associates. So that could be, everybody. So that money that he was giving you to cover up the victimization of all these people, was it worth it? I think not. Purposes of the Combs Enterprise. Number 11. The purposes of the Combs Enterprise included the following: operating a global business in the media, entertainment, and lifestyle industries. B, preserving, protecting, promoting, and enhancing the power, reputation, and brand of Sean Combs as a musician, entrepreneur, and figure in the entertainment industry. So that was the purpose, but they were doing a whole lot more than that. C, enriching members and associates of the enterprise, including its leader, Combs, and in particular those who demonstrated loyalty to Combs and willingness to conceal his crimes. D, preserving, protecting, promoting, and enhancing the power of the Combs Enterprise, including the power of its leader through violence, firearms, threats of violence, coercion, and verbal, emotional, physical, and actual abuse. E, fulfilling the personal desires of Combs, particularly those related to Combs' sexual gratification, including through the exploitation of women and the use of commercial ex-workers. All those men's. F, enabling Combs. Can you imagine working at a bar trying to earn a little extra cash and you run into Diddy and next thing you know you've been drugged, D-R-U-G-S. Life has changed forever. And that's what happened to the man who won the $100 million lawsuit that's in jail Now he claims that he met Puffy and went to a party, and Puffy put some in his drink and basically changed his life forever. He had to go to counseling and everything, and then ended up locked up. And Diddy is still trying to intimidate him from jail or prison, wherever he is. So anyway, means and methods of the enterprise. 12. Among the means and methods which Sean Combs, the defendant, and other members of associates conducted and participated in the conduct of the affairs of the Combs enterprise included the following. Combs, A, and other members and associates wielded the power and prestige of Combs' role at the Combs business to intimidate, threaten, and lure female victims into Combs' orbit. It does kind of sound like Ernesto Williams, Shirley Strawberry's husband. Often under the pretense of a romantic relationship, Combs then, it sounds just like Ernesto Williams, Shirley Strawberry's husband. Combs then used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended acts with male commercial workers that Combs referred to as, among other things, freak-offs. Freak-offs were elaborate and produced performances that Combs arranged, directed, pleasured himself during, and often electronically recorded. In arranging these freak-offs, Combs, with the assistance of members and associates of the Combs enterprise, transported and caused to be transported commercial ex-workers across state lines and internationally. Remember Dawn's story that she saw Diddy and all his men running a train on a assistant overseas, and he took the lady's passport and left the lady overseas to fend for herself? I wonder where that lady is. That's international. Freak-offs occur regularly, sometimes lasted multiple days, and often involve multiple commercial ex-workers. During freak-offs, Combs distributed a variety of controlled substances to victims, in part to keep the victims obedient and compliant. Sometimes unbeknownst to the victims, Combs kept videos he filmed of victims engaging in acts with commercial ex-workers. After freak-offs, Combs and the victims typically receive IV fluids to recover from the physical exertion and drugs use. Members and associates of the Combs enterprise, including high-ranking supervisors, security staff, household staff, personal assistants, and other Combs business employees, facilitated the freak-offs by, among other things, booking hotel rooms for the freak-offs, stocking the hotel rooms in advance with the required freak-off supplies, including controlled substances, baby oil, which they found a whole lot of in the raid, baby oil, lubricant, extra linens, well, at least they kept extra linens, and lighting, cleaning the hotel rooms after the freak-offs to try to mitigate room damage, arranging for travel for victims, commercial ex-workers, and Combs to and from freak-offs, resupplying Combs with requested supplies, delivering large sums of cash to Combs to pay the commercial ex-workers, and scheduling the delivery of IV fluids. Talk about a connection. In or about March 2024, during searches of Combs' residence in Miami, Florida, Los Angeles, California, law enforcement seized various freak-off supplies, including narcs and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. I mean, God dog. Did they have a sale and you just got, a bunch of back stock, or do you really use that much? Oh my God. I wonder when the last time he had a freak-off. I wonder if he stopped once Cassie's stuff came out. Oh boy. So basically they got a lot of this information from Cassie's documents and other people that have come forward, of course. Here's an important part. On phone calls, Combs and other members and associates of the enterprise, among other things, provided these victims and witnesses with a false narrative of events in an effort to conceal Combs' crime. When Combs' authority or reputation was threatened by the possibility of negative publicity or legal or law enforcement action against him, including in or about late 2023, following public allegations of Combs' crimes, Combs and members and associates of the enterprise pressured witnesses and victims, including through attempted bribery, to stay silent and not report what they experienced or knew to law enforcement. On phone calls, Combs and other members and associates of the enterprise, among other things, provided these victims and witnesses with a false narrative of events in an effort to conceal Combs' crimes. Combs caused these calls to be recorded on at least 2 occasions. So he still was going on with the attempted bribery stuff and threatening. This was in or about late 2023. So, Mr. Combs, you're guilty. Guilty, guilty, guilty. All right, this is count 2, the X trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. Victim 1. And this is about Cassie, I believe, from at least in or about 2009 up to and including in or about 2018. In the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Sean Combs, the defendant in and affecting interstate and foreign commerce, knowingly recruited, enticed, harbored, transported, provided, obtained, advertised, maintained, patronized, and solicited by any means a person knowing and in reckless disregard of the fact that means of force, threats of force, fraud, and coercion as described in Title 18, United States Code section blah, 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 and any combination of such means would be used to cause the person to engage in a commercial X act and attempted, aided, and abetted, and willfully caused the same, to wit, Combs recruited, enticed, harbored, transported, and maintained a person, victim 1, and attempted, aided, and abetted, and willfully caused victim 1 to engage in commercial X acts, knowing and in reckless disregard of the fact that victim 1 was engaging in commercial acts as a result of force, fraud, and coercion. So we know that's Cassie. They're using her as, a way to put the hammer down. Count 3, transportation to engage in prost. You fill in the rest. 17, from at least in or about 2009, the defendant knowingly transported an individual in interstate and foreign commerce with intent that the individual engage in prost and attempted and aided and abetted and willfully caused the same, to wit, Combs transported, aided and abetted and willfully caused the transportation of female victims and commercial ex workers in interstate and foreign commerce on multiple occasions with the intent that they engage in prost. So he has to forfeit all of his property, real and personal, intended to be used to commit or to facilitate the commission of said offense, and any and all property traceable to such property, any and all property, real or personal, constituting or derived from proceeds obtained directly or indirectly as a result of said offense, including but not limited to a sum of money in United States currency representing the amount of property involved in said offense and proceeds traceable to the commission of said offense. So all of that stuff is going to be seized, I believe. So I don't know what's going to happen with his children. I don't know what's going to happen with his children and their financial, but I mean, Kamora Lee says she got the twins. Them grown boys probably on their own. And that sick, sad mother of love, Combs, I don't know what she's going to do, but she could be a conspirator for all we know. Substitute assets provision. If any of the above described forfeitable property as a result of any act or omission of the defendant cannot be located upon the exercise of due diligence, has been transferred or sold to or deposited with a third person, has been placed beyond the jurisdiction of the court, has been substantially diminished in value, or has been commingled with other property which cannot be subdivided without difficulty, it is the intent of the United States to seek forfeiture of any other property of the defendant up to the value of the above forfeitable property. That means you can't sell nothing, can't do nothing. All your money is going to, I guess, go into one bank or something like that to guarantee the victims get paid. Like you've used illegal activity to make your money, basically. So count 3, transportation to engage in prost. Count 2, trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. And count 1, racketeering conspiracy. So a lot of this is based off of Cassie's claims, as well as everyone else who has come out, and they're not going to indict him on things that they cannot prove. So I was looking at Funky Dineva, and he gave like the little run through of how much time Puffy could be facing, and he posed, a good question about why Diddy did this stuff. does he have a bad DRUGS habit? Would this have happened if he didn't have the money and the power? He is an actual deviant, so would he still have been performing in acts like this without the money and the power? Or did this come with the money and the power? We know it doesn't come, to everyone that has money and power, or come with everyone that has money and power. So why did he? We know he's sick. We know he's, a despicable human being, and some of us had clues and hints that he has terrorized the music industry for many, many years. And now we have proof. So he was denied bail, and I think his lawyer is going to contest the denial of bail. I think they were asking for a $50 million bail, but it was denied. So his lawyer is going to get to work, but he shouldn't be free. But anyway, drop down in the comments. Let me know what you think about the snippet of the indictment, and what do you think is going to happen to Diddy? Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification button so you don't miss any of my videos.
Combs used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sexual performances with male commercial sex workers, some of whom he transported or caused to be transported over state lines. Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. The indictment alleges that Combs threatened and coerced victims to get them to participate in the freak-offs. He used the embarrassing and sensitive recordings he made of the freak-offs as collateral